Indonesia. And so when Chinese people talk about your country, what would you want us to know and to remember?
The first thing that I would like Chinese to remember about Indonesia, Indonesians are the good people as well. We have a warm heart, we welcome other people to come and to see Indonesia. We would like to establish friendship relations with other society as well. And of course, the second one, Indonesia consists of more than 17,000 islands with different ethnics, more than 700 ethnic group in Indonesia, very diverse Indonesia, but still in one, we call it. Now we would like to see more and more Chinese people to come and visit Indonesia, because for me, we are now celebrating the 10th anniversary of comprehensive strategic partnership between Indonesia and China. And then comprehensive strategic partnership is the highest level of the diplomatic relations, consists of three pillars of the relations: political security, economic development, and then socio-culture, people to people. So we need to strengthen the third pillar, people to people, cultural relations, cultural exchange. If we are able to establish a strong relations or strong foundation on the third pillar, sometimes we have differences in the first and third and second pillar, but the bouncing back would be very fast, will be very fast if the third pillar, people to people.
And what is the most remarkable characteristic of our bilateral cooperation in your eyes? How do you see our bilateral cooperation?
I think I already mentioned the 10th anniversary of comprehensive strategic partnership between Indonesia. But let me start by saying this. Indonesia and China relations grows stronger and stronger, as already mentioned. This is the peak of the relation, and we do hope that it will stay in the peak of relationship. So cooperation has expanded to new and concrete areas. We had strong foundation of trade, you mentioned as well, trade, investment cooperation, but we believe that room of increase remains wide, especially to address evolving global challenges such as renewable energy, energy transition, you mentioned digitalization, advancement of the information and communication technology. So during the state visit recently of my President Joko Widodo to Beijing this October to attend the BRI forum as well, both leaders, my president and President Xi Jinping, had committed to deepen our comprehensive strategic partnership. So we will strengthen cooperation among others. Let me mention a few of them: on stability of supply and industrial chain, sustainability of development, food security, energy transition, high technology, because China is quite advanced on that, and of course emerging industries. Sometimes we call it innovation industry. I think China is a leader in that industry as well, and of course on the digitalization. Jakarta-Bandung high-speed train is only an example on how our cooperation between two great nations and two leaders results, and it brings concrete benefit to our people to strengthen the connectivity, not only infrastructure connectivity, but people-to-people connectivity as well, and at the same time promote economic development. Now moving forward, we will continue to work together on some of the industries such as EV industry production, because we are rich on the materials of the EV industry, construction of our new capital, we call it Ibu Kota Nusantara, and then North Kalimantan Industrial Park, because this is also on the part of the synergy between Belt and Road Initiative and Global Maritime Fulcrum.
So what development has BRI brought to Indonesia? How do you see Belt and Road Initiative?
I think I already mentioned the four corridor economics as a synergy between Belt and Road Initiatives and the Global Maritime Fulcrum, and non-economic corridors such as high-speed train, Bandung-Jakarta. Of course, we would like to see that after Bandung-Jakarta, there will be other cities as well to be linked with the high-speed train, and then two countries twin park. Yes, with that synergy, it's already reflected in the increase of cooperation between, or increase and strengthen cooperation between Indonesia and China, not only on the investment sector, but as well as the trade sector. So volume of trade between two countries increased substantially. Last year, almost 150 billion US dollar, according to the China Customs, and from January till September, almost 100 billion US dollar. So this is one of the cooperation that we would like to strengthen, because through increase of trade, then we can guarantee that our economic growth will be continue to increase. If the economic growth is increased, it will bring benefit to people Indonesia and people in China. And then looking forward, not only Indonesia, but ASEAN as well, because now ASEAN is the largest trading partner of China, and China is the biggest trading partner of ASEAN. And Indonesia is the leader in ASEAN. So Indonesia, China, ASEAN, China, I think if we continue to strengthen bilateral relation on those areas, economic development, meaning that investment, trade, then we can guarantee that in the future, this trend will continue to be strengthened and to increase.
So how do you see the future, the potential of ASEAN as a whole to the world economy?
ASEAN countries consist of 10 members. Indonesia, one of the original member of the ASEAN, and ASEAN countries as well had enjoyed support and cooperation, infrastructure development within the context of the BRI. During the 30th anniversary of ASEAN-China relations, the leaders of ASEAN and China 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, decided to elevate the relationship from strategic partners to become comprehensive strategic. Number one is the synergy of the program, BRI, national development of each of the members of ASEAN to include Indonesia. And then of course, number two is equitable between partners or among partners. And three is sustainability. Then we can guarantee that BRI synergy with ASEAN and with Indonesia be continued in the many years to come. In this sense, it is important as well that BRI should first in line as well with the national priorities of each of countries to include the ASEAN member countries, whether to strengthen connectivity or to increase economic development with improved capability. As our president mentioned during the third BRF only like a few weeks ago, we hope that BRI continue to address regional and global challenges guided by principle of equality, mutual beneficial relations, and of course sustainability in our region. Of course, China's support to the establishment of the RCEP, as well as to the ASEAN centrality is significant, and it's already mentioned by your leaders as well. However, we have to remain committed as well to maintain regional stability, to create stable and conducive environment for economic growth. The recent years remain challenging for global economy, and the world has experienced supply shocks and food and energy crisis, but ASEAN economies led by China generally felt that these pressures less than elsewhere if we compare to other region. This year, Asia is predicted to contribute to almost 70% of global growth.
How is the question about the Chinese culture?
Some of the like Peking opera is quite nice, even though sometimes it's difficult for me to understand, but without understanding the language, but I can read the translation. And then other thing is, of course, this is coming from the culture as well, Kung Fu. Kung Fu is a part of the culture, not the martial arts, but this is the part of the culture, because in Kung Fu, you teach philosophy as well.
Please share with us some really unforgettable experience.
Working here in Beijing and living here in Beijing as well, I think I already enjoyed my time here for the last more than 5 years. And then if you ask me the interesting thing of my staying here and thing that I will remember, you just mentioned the story about my foreign minister. I think the first thing that I always put it first is the warm heart of the people here in Beijing and all over China. Whenever I go, meeting people, establish a conversation, that's the first thing. And the other thing is, of course, I love to eat. So the culinary here, the food here is, different thing. You go to Chongqing, to Chengdu, you will discover something that completely different to what I have it here in Beijing, or you go to the southern part of China, or to Hangzhou, or to Shanghai. And I love noodle, that I think that it will stay with me forever.
I think Chinese modernization also set an example for the rest of the world, especially for the developing countries. So I really want to invite you to share your points of views on Chinese modernization and how Indonesia achieve your modernization.
Now we call it modernization in the advancement of the technology. So for a country with huge population like China, it is not easy to develop the economy or other aspect. It is very challenging. However, through, I call it Chinese style of modernization, you are able to present another approach or sample to developing country, because you are the developing country and you are able to develop your economy. This is the part of becoming China in the modernization era. China has been successful in transforming its country and society, which inspired many developing countries, to include Indonesia. Case of point is, for the last 10 years, China has been able to elevate their population out of poverty. You already entered another stage of development. You can call it modernization era, but this is the fact. And I think some countries, to include Indonesia, would like to elevate to emulate that. Of course, our cooperation should be a continued platform as well to share the best practice, knowledge and technology, to also support or lesson learned from your process. Then we can emulate to modernize Indonesia. We are in that process as well, with the size of population now almost 300 million people. So Indonesia is committed to strengthen its downstream industry, as you've been doing that so far, in order to produce a high value export commodities. And then of course the implementation of this policy has not only aimed at increase national income, but at the same time also to put Indonesia in the supply chain and elevated its position as a developing countries. This is we can emulate from you. This is the things that you've been doing so far to modernize China. So we would like to emulate that. In addition, given that Indonesia has so many islands, it's already mentioned to you, more than 17,000 islands, Indonesia focuses as well on infrastructure development. Indonesia also learned from other countries, to include China, to build and modernize its infrastructure in order to achieve Indonesia's modernization. So that's how I see the Chinese modernization. Through that process together, then we can elevate as well the modernization of the region, our region, and at the end of the day, we can contribute as well to the better economic development or global economic development.
Anything else you want to discuss with us or you want to share with our audience?
I would like to see that the young people in Indonesia, in ASEAN and in China able to establish a sort of social media community that will share among them the positive vibe. Because with the positive vibe, then you are able to create a positive energy. Then it will have a huge impact on our society as well. Because the young people is the leader of the future. Katorang semua bersaudara. We are all brother and sister. That's it.